Mr. President, thank you for joining us today. So my first question is, so last year you fulfilled a key campaign promise to expand free education for all Ghanaians through the secondary level. While many have applauded this, private schools have expressed concerns about their continued existence and more than 10,000 employees. Why do you think guaranteed education is important, and what do you say to private schools to address their concerns?
Well, it's obvious that guaranteed education is important for a country like ours. The biggest deficit that we have is the development of our human capital. Still, there are large sections of the population that don't go to school, many who would like to go to school, but because of money are incapable. And a free system can be the only way in which we can guarantee access. The sooner we can get everybody into a school, learn something of the modern knowledge, the modern skills, the better it will be for the development of our country. Private schools can justify their existence in Ghana by the quality of the instruction that they give and of the people and the manner in which they're able to train those who come in their care. They should not see themselves as necessarily competing with the public system, because those who have money and want to pay for the education of their children are free to do so. But that doesn't mean that those who cannot afford it should find unnecessary barriers in their access to education. And that is the basis on which we have acted.
How do you think that will impact higher education?
Obviously, it's going to mean rapid expansion of the facilities at the universities, especially the public universities, and that is a matter that is under very, very serious consideration, and the policies are being developed to make that possible. But it is necessary. We're 30 million people, and there's many of our people who can get access to the education and to the skills that are available in today's world, the better it will be for us.
Thank you. So in March, Ghana and 43 other members of the African Union signed the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, pledging signees to remove tariffs on 90% of goods. Why do you think this agreement will be good for the African and world economies, and what challenges do you expect this agreement to face?
Well, this agreement is absolutely critical to our future. You look at just some simple statistics. In 2015, 70% of the GDP of the European Union derived from intra-regional trade, that is, trade amongst members of the European Union. The equivalent figures for ours was 11% across Africa, because we're trading with the rest of the world and not with each other. And it is one of the reasons that also defines the backwardness and the poverty in the continent. So anything we can do to increase trade amongst ourselves, these figures that I'm giving you, the figures can be found in Asia, in ASEAN. It's more or less the same figures. 70-75% of intra-regional trade accounts for the global GDP of the 15, 16 ASEAN countries. So it is very important for us, for the development of our economies, that this market, and we're talking about now a market that potentially can be 2 billion people in 20 years' time. We're 1.2 billion on the continent today. In 20 years' time, it's estimated there will be 2 billion people. Can you imagine what a force for economic growth and progress it would be if this huge market was trading amongst us? So it's extremely important for us. And I'm hoping that the signatures on the agreement will not just stay there. We are requiring 22 countries to ratify the agreement after signature for it to come into effect. Yesterday in Addis Ababa, Ghana and Kenya were the first two to depose their instruments of ratification. The Ghanaian Parliament ratified the treaty on the 26th of April. It is to indicate the seriousness with which we attach to the to the treaty and the prospects that the trade area has for the future of the continent.
Thank you, Mr. President. So Britain is, of course, undergoing negotiations to withdraw from the European Union and is hoping to expand trade relations with Commonwealth nations. How do you expect the relationship between the UK and Ghana to change post-Brexit?
I suspect not very much because, as you know, the relations between Ghana and Britain predated. We'll talk about 100 years of colonial domination, but predated the adhesion of Britain to the European Union. It has not changed, it has not been significantly affected by Britain's membership of the Union. So I don't see that in itself as affecting the Ghana trade relationship. Obviously, Britain's relationship with the European Union can have a bigger impact in other areas. But as far as Ghana specifically is concerned on West Africa, especially the ex-British colonies in West Africa, I don't see any significant change.
Thank you. So this month, you launched a program called Nation Builders Corps to employ young people directed at various sectors in Ghana. Could you please tell us more about what this program hopes to accomplish and what your plans are for implementing it?
5 years ago, a group of people came to form an association of unemployed graduates. Within 48 hours of my announcing, and it's been one of the eyesores on the social scene in Ghana for some time, the fact that so many people go to school and in the end there's no work for them. Within 48 hours of my announcement of the Nation Builders Corps, they sent a tweet around the country thanking me for dissolving their association. So it tells you a little bit about the significance of the gesture. Basically, we are beginning this year, it'll be a yearly of recruiting 100,000 people into the Nation Builders Corps to undertake certain specific tasks, helping to mobilize revenue in the public sector, improving the health care, improving governance, improving the management of the private sector. Several different modules and it is directed specifically at graduates who have also, of course, also done their national service, giving them an opportunity. 3 years they stay within the program. And the intention is that at the end of the 3 years, it'll be relatively easy for them to exit either into permanent jobs in the public sector or into the private sector. And many of them who will be working within the private sector, even though they're on the public payroll, would have had experience, which will therefore mean that the argument that you've had no experience so we can't hire you goes out of the window and will facilitate the entry into the private sector as well.
Absolutely, thank you. So as the General Secretary of the broad-based group People's Movement for Freedom and Justice in the late 1970s.
You've gone back a long way.
Yeah, so you led the No campaign in the UniGov referendum of 1978,
right.
Which ultimately brought about the downfall of the military government in July and eventually restored democratic governance. Could you tell us about Ghana's democratic development since?
Well, the exercise that came at the end of that was also interrupted again. But for the last 25 years, since 1993, we've had the Fourth Republic operating under a democratic constitution. It has proved to be the longest period of stable constitutional governance in our history. We have seen in this period 3 changes of government. We were told for many years by those who did not want democracy in Africa that democracy in our country and our countries would be the source of instability. It would be the beginning of ethnic conflicts. And in the Ghanaian experience, both of these have been proved to have been very wrong. First of all, we've been able to have had 3 different changes of government from one party to the other. The last was the one that brought me into power. in 2016 when the then incumbent president and his party lost the election, both presidential and parliamentary. We've had this on 3 occasions in Ghana. It has not disturbed the foundations of the Ghanaian state. On the contrary, it has been a unifying factor for our people to see that their voice, expressed peacefully in the ballot, can in fact effect change in the country. And it has given people a certain sense of self-confidence, a belief that yes, they can act to affect the destiny of the country. And it has also brought about, it's taking time, but it is bringing about better and better quality of performance on the part of those of us who have been given and entrusted with the mandate, because we now know that the Ghanaian people are capable of toughing us out if in 3 or 4 years we're not up to it. And I think that all of that has been very, very, very beneficial for the progress of our country. It's not an accident that the 25 years of constitutional governance has also seen the most systematic development of the Ghanaian economy in the 60 years of our history. It is directly related to the stability and the openness of the system that we now have in Ghana. So we've come from a very turbulent past in a situation whereby a country has had 4 republics in the space of 40-odd years. They say it took the French 100 years to have 5 republics. We did it 4 in 40 years. So that tells you a little bit about the turbulence that we went through. But for the last 25 years, there seems to have been, and hopefully it will continue, a very strong national consensus that we want to go down the path of democratic engagement. And for myself, I welcome it very strongly.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will now take a few questions from the audience,
if
that's all right.
Yeah.
So if you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone to get to you, and please stand up. So for the first question, we'll go to the gentleman just there.
Your Excellency, thank you for coming today at the Oxford Union. Would you be so kind as to lay out your vision for how to increase domestic business activity in Ghana and to encourage further foreign direct investment?
I think that that's one of the most critical issues facing us, because bound up in that question is the rapidity with which our economy can develop and expand. The private sector in Ghana has had major constraints. 1, access to capital. 2, the stability and the predictability of laws governing business. And thirdly, of course, the relatively chaotic management of the national economy, which has meant that currencies, interest rates have all been seriously misaligned for a long time. So the challenge has been how to establish a certain stability within the macroeconomy of our country so that the currency is relatively stable, hopefully, and it has begun, declining rates of interest, more predictable legal and regulatory framework. These are the matters that have to be put in place in a strong way to be able to reassure the private sector that it can operate on a relatively level playing field and also have access to capital. So that's the side of it. As far as foreign investment in the country is concerned, well, the attractiveness of the country must be the fact that people can bring their money into Ghana and know that there is a legal regime that will treat foreign investment in the same way as it treats domestic investors, i.e. the rule of law works in Ghana. So that's a very important element which is strongly in place in the country. And then, of course, is the attractiveness of the Ghanaian economy. We are very well-endowed country as far as natural resources are concerned. We have lots of gold, we have considerable petroleum deposits, We have also bauxite and iron, all of these which are untapped. And we're hoping to be able to attract investment into those areas to propel the faster growth of the Ghanaian economy and the process of industrial transformations. I'm sure, as you know, for a long time, our economy has been the typical called neo-colonial economy that we have in Africa, which is raw material producing, exporting countries, and who are getting very seriously shortchanged by the international monetary system. They give you a very good example. The principal product in Ghana is cocoa. We produce raw cocoa beans for export. We and our neighbor, Côte d'Ivoire, are the two biggest producers of cocoa in the world. Between the two of us, we produce something like 65% of the world's output of cocoa. The year 2015, Côte d'Ivoire, which produces something like 700,000 tons more than we do, earned $3.5 billion from the sale of Ivorian cocoa. In the same period, we earned something like $2 billion. So between us, who are the principal producers of cocoa in the world, we earn $5.7 billion worth of revenue. The cocoa-related, i.e. the chocolate-related industry in the world is a $100 billion industry. And you see the disparity between what our farmers are earning and what the global industry produces. And it tells you that the value chain is very much against us. And the sooner we are able to internalize and domesticate that value chain, the better it will be for our farmers and for ourselves. So it is in these areas that we're seeking foreign investment to come and join us to develop our country.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next question. We will go to the hand just there.
Thank you, Excellency. The Ghanaians here are very proud to have you here. So my question is more about your personal motivations. You've been in politics for a really long time, and at least I recall in your experience, having lost the primaries to President Akufo, I believe in '94, and then losing again an election in 2008, and then a very painful, controversial loss in 2012. I guess my question here is, what kept you going and gave you the belief that, your dream to be our leader and to be able to implement some of the things that you have in mind for a country? What kept you going? What made you continue? Thank you.
Well, the principal one is the vision that I have for Ghana. I thought that a country that had been the first to be free of colonial rule in sub-Saharan Africa at a time where we were 6 million people, because I think a lot of it is forgotten today, how small a country it was that began the whole process of decolonization on the continent. That as we grew, as we became adults and grew, its performance didn't match its potential at all. And the Ghanaian nation that had been conceived by those who fought for our independence was so short of the reality of what we were living. And some of us felt, others, that the most effective way we could change that and begin to rediscover the promise and the potential was political activity. But then, for a considerable period of time, political power in Ghana was monopolized by soldiers. So we had, first of all, to get involved in the movement to remove the soldiers from the center of political activity in Ghana, restore democratic institutions. And then came the issues that you talk about. But it was because I felt I had something to contribute towards realizing this vision. I felt that Ghana had so much to offer its own citizens as well as the wider African people, and that I could make a contribution. At the end of the day, I thought that the best way is to submit myself to the judgment of my peers. If they felt I was capable, fair enough. If they didn't, well, so bad. But you have to keep on trying. And then I had a mother who from the beginning had told us that was her refrain all the time. If you try and you don't succeed, try and try and try again. And it became something that got wedged right up here and in my spirit. And I think that that is what happened.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, we'll go to the gentleman.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Jude, and I'm very happy to have you here. I'm a Ghanaian citizen as well, so I'm quite excited to have you here. In 2016, when you won the elections, so myself and one of my mentors in Ghana came to your office to wish you congratulations. And when we were leaving, I took a selfie with you, and I put a selfie on Facebook. And up till today, I could not have been more relevant to my colleagues and society. So thank you very much for that too. Speaking about technology, so I'm doing a PhD in artificial intelligence. Currently, a lot of government are seeing the potential of artificial intelligence in improving efficiency and also increasing growing the economy itself. So yesterday, the White House organized an AI summit, and they had a lot of stakeholders from a lot of the key tech companies coming together to look at opportunities and challenges for the United States. The French president has also announced a comprehensive AI strategy for France. China has done something very similar where they're trying to lead the way in artificial intelligence. They've launched a program called Made in China for 2025. I'm just very interested in your opinion to know what do you think are the opportunities that AI can bring in improving the economy in Ghana? And if you agree to that also, are you open for any kind of collaboration between ourselves and Ghana to try and push the agenda a bit further?
I mean, the answer has to be yes, yes, and yes again. In the world in which we are today, I mean, you can't possibly turn your back on it. On the contrary, we need to co-opt artificial intelligence as soon as possible for the larger purposes of government, improving the economy, improving issues of transparency, improving accountability in the way that the governments are run. And we're taking it very seriously. A month ago, 6 weeks ago, the Vice President led a big delegation of companies to Silicon Valley in America, preparatory to doing exactly what you're talking about, launching a Ghanaian version of the community coming together with this active support of government, because we see that is absolute. And what it is encouraging about it is that even without much government support, the ingenuity, the sense of innovation of young people in Ghana in this industry is really quite astonishing. You're here already doing a PhD in that at Oxford. It tells you what's going on, and I think you're fully aware of what's going on at home. So it carries a great deal of potential for us, and it is a potential I'm determined that we harness. These have gone ahead, but we will follow the path of Macron, Trump, and the others. I think very soon you'll hear from me on that as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We have time for one more final question, and the question will go to the lady on the right.
Thank you, Mr. President, again for coming to speak to us. Your program about employment, about your program to tackle unemployment was really sort of encouraging for me as a Nigerian to hear, because it is proving that good governance for the benefit of the people is actually very possible in West Africa. So I was wondering your thoughts on why Ghana and Nigeria, two multi-ethnic nations with relatively similar histories, are so different when it comes to governance and the impact of corruption on social, economic, and political progress.
Fortunately for me, this is the last question. And it is also the most delicate because I don't think that my friends in Nigeria will be particularly happy to hear that I came up to here and made all kinds of comments. I would think that we're all on our different we're all on our different trajectories, and hopefully we will at some stage or another merge and go together.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that's all we have time for, but please join me.